This show. I feel like a star this morning, and I think I look the part. I don't know, right? But yes, it's another day, and you know what I say every Monday? It's another opportunity to start afresh. Right? So we'd set goals for every week, Mondays to Fridays, and on Fridays we get to tell ourselves, oh, were we able to knock off those goals from our list? Whatever the case is, if you were not able to knock off last week's, just put it on this week's schedule and knock that goal off. And yes, do not forget to be grateful for every one of those goals you were able to achieve in last week. It's a beautiful day, people. And yes, I promised last week that it was going to be an amazing time in the studio. And I'm pretty excited because I have someone with me in the studio. As a matter of fact, a fine gentleman. And together, we'll be having the conversation centered around the economic policies, that we have right now. A lot has been introduced. And like I said earlier, a lot of people don't even know how this affects us directly or indirectly. What we know is they've increased the interest rate. What we know is there's inflation here, there's this there, and that there. And it's a bit difficult for the common man to survive this time. But what we're doing today is help us be knowledgeable, have the facts in our hands, and let us know why these things have come to be and what it does for us. Some, of course, might be beneficial to the economic system of the nation. Others, I don't know what it is. But right, guys, I have with me in the studio here Stanley Onora. And yes, he will be taking us through the entire process. Hi, Stanley.
Hey, good morning. It's good to be here on the show with Martha.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm fantastic.
Are you ready for us?
Yeah.
I've been seeing all your videos online banker, by the way, and he's been telling us a lot of things. Sometimes, let me confess, most of the things I tell them here, some of them I get from that page. Oh, yes. Yes, I guess some of them from that page because I'm like, there's this news right here. It's not enough to just come and tell them this is what is happening right now. How does it really affect them? But I'm not an expert.
Yeah, so it's good to know that I have impact.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Of course you do.
All right, thank you. It's good to be here.
Yes. Now let's go straight. What are economic policies?
So economic policies are basically policies by the government and in trying to help to shape the economy.
Okay.
So just basically policies by the government to shape the economy. So you have the monetary policies and the fiscal policies.
Okay.
One by the CBN, the monetary policies by the CBN and the fiscal policies by the federal government. So that's why you have the Ministry of Finance and then you have the CBN.
Okay. So this is what we call economic policies. Now, in the last 2 to 3 months, we've seen a lot of them surface online. And I think one of the major ones I followed on your page was the 18.57 interest rate that has been increased. Yes. Can we have a conversation about that? How does it affect the people? Because we know that these policies have come to be, but we don't know how it affects us directly and how we can navigate through these processes. So, yes.
So the CBN increased the MPR from 18.5 to 18.75.
Okay.
And why are they doing that? The essence of doing that is they are trying to curb inflation.
Okay.
Inflation is just a lot of money chasing fewer goods.
Okay.
So there's a lot of money in circulation. And Nigerians will not agree because you could say, I don't get money for pockets. Then where is a lot of money that
coming
is? Yeah.
From?
So, but there's been a number of things that the government has done, especially coming from the past administration, that there was a lot of printing of money, in quote.
Yeah.
So when the CBN produces money and there's no economic activity that is backing it, because typically the government runs like a business. So if you sell, for example, you get money. But when the government then creates money, it creates a lot of money because it has not been backed by anything. And then it creates inflation. Now, there are a lot of money that's going in circulation and that is chasing fewer goods. The government is trying to mop it back, take it back, a lot of that money back into the system.
Okay.
How do they do that? They increase interest rates.
Okay.
People wondering, how does increasing interest rates take up money from the system? So this is how it works. Because the banks have the opportunity of lending out money, because they are one of the major drivers of money to the economy. So you have all the banks from First Bank to microfinance banks to any bank, commercial banks and microfinance banks and all the lenders. So they have this money, this credit that they give out to Nigerians.
Okay.
But if the interest rate is increased, as it has increased to 18.75, what it means is that the amount they're going to lend money out to the real sector,
Okay.
which is the normal man that's on the street selling provisions, the person that's selling spare parts and
Yeah.
all, is going to increase. And by the time it increases, you're going to say, is it even necessary to take more of this money?
Loans. As per loans
Yes,
now.
in loans, yes.
Okay.
And then you now draw back. So less money going into the system, less money going into people's hands,
Okay.
and then it affects everyone. But in essence, money has been mopped up from the system. So that's how mostly what the CBN is trying to achieve.
Okay, so they want less money in circulation.
Yes.
And how does that affect us now listening?
Okay, so how it affects the common man is if inflation can drop.
Okay.
If whenever you hear inflation is at 24%,
Okay.
it means your money is losing its value,
Value.
by 24%.
Okay, that's what inflation means.
That's what it means, that your
Oh.
value of your currency is decreasing by that amount.
Okay.
So in the naira has been losing its value. Naira has lost almost 30 to 40% in June, lost about 10% in July.
Okay.
So you now realize that your money is losing value. And by the time you ask, how is my money losing value? How much are you buying what you are buying at? So you say, oh, it's dollar that is increasing. My naira still in my hand. So how it take affects me. But the things that you are buying for 1,000, you are buying them for 1,500 now.
Or more.
Or more. The things you are buying for 5,000, you're probably buying them for 7,000. So a typical example is fuel. So if you take back to February this year, you're buying fuel for 149. Now you're buying it at 716. That's if you go to an NNPC fuel station.
Oh.
Yes, because some people are selling higher.
Okay.
So now what it means is that your money has lost its value to that degree. And then people are wondering, okay, why am I stressed at this moment? It seems like money is not enough. This is what is happening to you. Inflation is happening to you. It is what is biting you, and that is what the CBN is trying to fight. But it's fighting that on one side. But Nigerians are asking, is it necessarily are these things that are really causing inflation? One of the major causes of inflation in Nigeria is food. Nigerians spend over 60% of their income on food.
Okay.
Yes.
Purchasing or importing.
Food, that's eating just to go chop. Household food.
There's problem.
So Nigeria said, so by the time you're spending about over 60% of your income on food, it tells you a lot that the average man, if you can solve the problem of food, you've solved. Because I think I mentioned that because I'm an advocate for the government intervening in food. There's hunger in the land.
Of course.
There is hunger in the land.
Of course.
So if I can say, okay, I can afford not to go to your house and visit you, I won't take transport. I can afford not to call you, I wouldn't buy airtime. I can afford not to, go on the internet and say, hello, my name is the online banker, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. And so that's my own prerogative. But I must eat to survive.
Okay.
So, but if then food is expensive, if you can cut down that food for people, you've done that. So I am the advocate that if the government is trying to even take out money for anything, where they should factor their own focus should be on food. Yes.
Okay. So now you were talking about how we spend most of our income on food.
Yes.
Is this something that we also need to look into, or is just the government doing that right now?
If you were to say you are looking into it, how much can you really look into it? Are you going to cut down? Are you going to be malnourished?
Okay.
Because you don't want to spend money
on food.
So you can. So it now comes down to the hierarchy of want, and then and prioritization. So you say, okay, before I like to go out and buy suya masa, I would like to go out and and buy chicken and go and enjoy myself. Instead of buying, going out to this, and I'll just go and buy my beef, prepare food in my house, and manage myself. And that still hurts. So it's the multiplier effect is great. So your spending is someone else's income. Okay. So you should realize that this moment you stop spending, that person's income has dropped. And what the person will have done for the other person has dropped. Okay. And the multiplier effect is that if this continues, we're heading for a recession, because once the spending power of the people go down, it creates a recession.
Because they're no more purchasing anything.
So the economic activities are down.
Okay.
Yeah, so by the time you now notice that your income that's supposed to fuel somebody's income, that's supposed to fuel this person's income, that's supposed to fuel this person's income, everybody now is sitting there, is shutting down, economy is slowing down, and it's a big problem for the government.
Okay, there we have right there. I hope we're all listening to, this. Someone said, please bring someone who'd help us understand these things better. And I'm hoping that that person is listening right now. And we hope that you're listening as well, because shortly the phone lines will be open so that you can send in your questions, your contributions, and whatever confusions you have as regards the economic policies that are being introduced. Now, I saw a video. I'm making reference to your videos because they are quite educative. And like you say, like, it's a great work you're doing right
Thank
there.
you.
Now, you were talking about how it's impossible for the government to just print money, because one will just come online and say, why are we suffering? There's printing and minting. Just
Yes.
print the money and share it to people,
Yeah.
right? What's the need, for letting people go through this stuff? Can you just tell us the policies? Because I've seen the video and I think I have an idea of why
it is, yeah.
the monies cannot be printed just like that. But for the purpose of everyone listening, can you just help us?
Okay, so I would like to explain this. So I would like to talk. I'm going to talk for English for people who know
Very
they understand
good.
and well. So
Mhm.
make I break them down.
Mm-hmm.
Now the government is not Yalian press. It's not international press. It's not a printing press. Now the government works like a business, like I
Okay.
mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what the government does is that for every what it does. So when I mention it's like a business, so I'm going to use OKK store that sells provision.
Okay.
Nigerian government is like OKK store that sells provision.
Mm-hmm.
By the time he sells Milo and milk,
Milk.
he makes money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if OKK goes to his store and goes and creates artificial money,
Okay.
what it means is that, like the Nigerian government, is that your currency will lose value to that amount that you have printed. Do you know
Okay.
how? Now, if you go and create artificial money, like in the sense of like trying to, create that it's just a loan you're taking for the future.
Okay.
You know how? Now, if how will I put it? If everybody has the government in quotes, all this money that is circulating, do you know what a lot of people do with that money?
Mm-hmm.
They go back and try to use it to buy the foreign currency.
Okay.
Now, as you are going to rush to buy the foreign currency, what is the economic activities? Literally, the country is supposed to earn foreign currency
Okay.
by exporting things, by people bringing remittances, your brothers in the
Yes.
UK, in the US,
Mhm.
everyone bringing money back into Nigeria. Those are this
Putting
all
into the system.
bringing into the system. So there's an exchange. Dollar is coming in for the naira.
Okay.
But when there's now naira now that is plenty because the government has created it,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's a lot of money going to chase the dollar. If you tell the person, because there's a lot of naira that has just been created from anywhere, if you tell the person dollar today is 1,000, because it's not an economic, bring it.
They would not
3,000.
worry.
Bring it. 10,000, bring it. The dollar bring it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what it now does is that it puts a lot of pressure
Mm-hmm.
on the
Naira.
on the dollar on the
On the
naira.
naira.
Yes,
Mhm.
puts a lot of pressure on the naira,
Mhm.
and that leads to devaluation of your
Of the
currency.
naira.
And as your currency is being devalued, the people's purchasing power is being reduced because we're import dependent. So you now that you are going to say, why this thing why they buy 300 naira now and 700 naira? Yes, that is how it's affecting you.
Mhm.
So as your naira loses its value because you're import dependent,
Mhm.
you're losing a lot of value from the amounts that you have. And then you can't buy a lot of things. You can't travel as you can. People that want to go to school cannot afford to have proof of funds to send out. People that want to pay for school fees or pay for medical
Because your
bills
money
abroad.
doesn't mean
Because your
anything.
money doesn't mean
anymore.
anything. So the government needs to create economic activities that will help generate things. So every country that you know, the US, India, China, the rest
Mhm.
of them, they are an economic hub because of all that they export. They borrow a lot of money,
Okay.
but at every time you're using, I'm on the internet right now, I'm on Instagram on live
Mhm.
and on my Instagram page, and this is something that was created in the US.
Mhm.
And I can pay for ads here, and the revenue still goes back to the US. So
Okay.
that is economic activity. One of the biggest exports of Nigerians currently is music. So Burna Boy
Okay,
and
yeah.
the US yesterday, Wizkid sold out Tottenham Stadium.
Yeah, I saw
Sold
that.
out the whole of Tottenham Stadium in the UK. Now, is his money coming to Nigeria?
Absolutely. His money will,
How?
but
Is he going to bring a bunch of that money back to Nigeria?
No, of course not.
So those are the incentives the government needs to create. Are the young people looking at Nigeria as a destination for investment?
Okay.
If they do not see it as a destination for investment, they lose that revenue.
Okay. That's a lot. But yes, I think I'll open the phone lines now for everyone who's listening and wants to ask the online banker question. 09073530044 or 09087668888. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Martin.
Yes, welcome. Is this Comrade?
Yeah, yeah, this is Comrade Aaron.
All right, welcome. Let's hear you.
Good morning to your guest.
Yeah. Can you?
So, yeah, can you hear him? Can you turn
Okay.
it up a bit?
Okay.
And Martin,
Yes.
let me draw our attention back some years ago when the governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki,
Okay.
His Excellency, he came on air. He was saying there is no need for CBN to print because CBN was printing excess money,
Okay.
which is going to devalue our naira. Today we are seeing the effect.
Okay.
How I wish when he was making that allegation, he took it seriously. Today we wouldn't have been in this mess we are facing every day. Because you keep on saying the basic needs of our livelihood is keep on going up on a daily basis. Today what you buy a noodle of corn is different from what you are going to buy from tomorrow. So if government can wake up and do the needful, subsidize food items for us, because these are basic necessity for human life. Every individual needs food. If government can invest in agriculture and see how they can control the market. Controlling the market in the sense that you invest, you give it to dealers at the subsidized price, then you can force them to sell at a given price.
Okay.
So that is my contribution. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Comrade, for joining us on the show today. All right, people, keep your calls coming in. Let's hear what your thoughts are and what your questions are as regards the inflation Nigeria is experiencing, the economic policies that have been introduced, and how we can navigate through. That's where we'll be, heading right after this. But the numbers are 09073530044 or 09087668888. On WhatsApp is 09097054450. Keep your calls coming in and be a part of this conversation. Right. How can we navigate through this process? Because it's difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's difficult. A lot of people, you hear them call in here most times and they complain like it's hard on Nigerians. But how can we navigate through this process?
So for navigating through the process at the moment, there's a lot of responsibility on the government.
Okay.
The government has a bulk. This is not because Nigerians are used to. So Nigerians are used to. If I don't have water, I create my borehole.
Okay.
If I don't have security, I employ a security guard. We create fences and we create gates in our houses.
Okay.
If there are no schools, we have private schools. But when it comes to macroeconomics, in the sense that like what is happening at the moment, the government has a bulk of what to do.
Okay.
You cannot create the security needed for farmers in the north central to go and farm. You don't have that power. The government needs to create that enable environment. You cannot lower taxes. You cannot eliminate import duty or import levies on food that are being imported. You cannot do that. That is the prerogative of the government.
Okay.
So the government has a bulk of these things to address. My own take, my own suggestion, like if there's any government person that is listening, and I'm sure they have like sound economists and and seasoned bankers that are advising the government. But you look at the revenue that you get from levies on food, for example. Why are you stopping? No nation feeds itself. At the moment, Nigerians are hungry. So why don't you lower the price of wheat? So wheat, for example, bread, a staple food that everyone has, is heavily dependent on wheat import into Nigeria. Yes. So now, if the government takes away the levy on just that and sugar, flour, sugar, wheat imports. So what it does is that the price of only bread dropping to as low as 500 as opposed to 1,000 has cushioned the effect. So it means that, say Nigerians don't chop anything, they don't chop bread.
Hold that thought, because I personally I've talked about the bread thing personally here on radio, because I mean, usually if we can't afford anything, then we can afford bread, or we can afford gari at least. But you see that gari now, I think a mood is selling at about 500 naira or even more right now. So it's not even something that someone that is suffering would eat anymore. Because even you that you're not suffering is now too much, like, for you to purchase or anything of the sort. Now, we also have been talking about palliatives here on radio.
Yeah.
But, Nigerians will say, from our standpoint, we're not professionals again, a layman's point of view. You can't be giving us 8,000 naira or 10,000 naira when we're looking for more lasting solutions to the problems that we're facing.
True.
Concerning that palliative, what do you have to say about it?
So I would like to
Okay,
share.
so just hold it a little bit. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's switching and ending almost immediately. Oh yes, let's hear you.
So for the palliative, I would like to share this with everyone that is listening.
Okay.
When you hear that the government is giving out 8,000 naira as palliative to the people, for you it is small, for the government is a huge sum. So giving 10,000 naira to 30 million people comes into billions
of naira. Yes.
But to you, you're saying, why is the government just giving me 10,000 naira? Why don't they increase it to 100,000 to make more sense to me? But to the government, it runs into billions and trillions, depending on how they increase the money.
Of course.
Now, I'm not a proponent of any form of palliative, because Nigeria being what it is, we're used to a systemic corruption system. That's So if at the time when you want to release that palliative, you move from one point to the other, and at every junction the money reduces down to when it gets to the common man.
Okay.
But they said there's BVN, there's NIN, and the rest of it. But we know how these things go. So why don't you use that money to subsidize, so it's systemic. Why don't you use that money? Like I mentioned, you have import levy. You have the money that you get from flour. You have the money that you tax on sugar. You have the money that you tax on wheat and the rest, and food items in general. Why don't you tell companies like Indomie, let me use for noodles, the noodles companies, let me not call this the noodles companies, the brands, and why the noodles companies, and say, okay, you know what, you're paying me XYZ taxes, and this is you have this included in your cost of production and all. Why don't you subsidize you to this extent, and we can see that you've reduced your cost by say 500 million, and that should be reflective in the amounts that you're selling things to the final consumer. So you've subsidized that you've subsidized noodles for Nigerians at least. Okay, you've taken out cassava now, for example, and you're saying, oh, transport companies that do XYZ for food. Well, okay, you're paying this to the government. Well, taking back this, but want this to be reflective in your cost to the final consumer. Those are the subsidy points that you're supposed to be looking at. So food subsidization. I'm all for food subsidization because that is the way that you can target Nigerians and really get to them.
Something that gets to everybody.
Something that gets to everybody. Just like when fuel subsidy was. Fuel subsidy was something that was getting to Nigerians. I'm not a proponent of the subsidy because of the humongous whatever that was in
corruption.
There. So like, but now what the thing there is that, but you could tell that because the government subsidized fuel, you're buying fuel at 149, and you're buying it for less like in previous years. Those are the things that are targeted at the masses. But giving everybody 8,000 naira that might not get to them and that might finish, because how much is 8,000 naira would not buy me less than 10 liters, about 10 or 12 liters of fuel.
You won't buy nothing.
So, and where would it take you?
All right, let's hold that thought and get someone on. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mata.
Yes, welcome. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
Thank you. My name is Okechuku.
Okechuku, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear you.
Thank you. You see, may God bless your guest. He spoke very well. But the problem we are having is the government. You understand? Removing this fuel subsidy without any plan of fixing the refinery. It is where all these things corrected. Because now you are removing the fuel subsidy. Your refineries are not working. And Nigerians are finding it difficult to feed. There is hunger in the land. You see, leadership, anything leadership is not by force. Anything you say, it is my turn, I must rule.
Okay.
I bet you will see along the way that leadership will not have headway. Allow the masses to bring you in, that you are what we want. That is why you see we are having problem now. See, like, look at what happened in Adamawa. Look at what is happening in Niger. You understand? Levels, they are planning to go to strike on Wednesday because of all this plan without no caution. So we are urging the federal government, please. Nigerians are not smiling. We are hungry. Please, they should do the right thing. They should remove this subsidy. They should please bring everything down for Nigerians. We are hungry. You cannot walk freely. Go to the street everywhere. People are just angry about themselves. So please, they know what to do. So they should just leave what's happening in Niger. Please, they should not send soldiers to that place so that it will not cause Nigerian soldiers and Nigerian soldiers with war. Please, they should just leave them. The citizens of that Niger, they know what they want. Let them leave them there. Let them do their thing. Because what is happening in Nigeria is worse than what is happening in Nigeria. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you, Okechukwu, for joining us on the show today. That being said, I think the president will be addressing Nigerians by 7 p.m. today. So, yes, watch that address, and we'll have that conversation here tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, keep your calls coming in. Let us know what your questions are as regards the policies that we have discussed here this morning. It's 090-7353-0044 or 090-8766-8888. You can be a part of this conversation on WhatsApp by sending us a WhatsApp message, voice notes, or text messages at 090-9705-4450. Let's hear you. You were talking about, subsidizing at least an area so that Nigerians know that when it comes to transportation, the government has subsidized this for us. There's no need for us to, keep going.
So one of the things that's, that everyone was
Okay, I think someone would have a question for you. Okay. Hi, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, welcome. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
My name is Samson. I'm calling from Javi.
All right, thank you for joining us, Samson. Let's hear you.
I'm really sorry to say, but the truth is of this issue is that even that we already know how it is in this country, they are being led by government that they'll just sleep in the night, think of what they want to do to embezzle the money, and just like wake up the next morning, just do it. They will not even have any dialogue, no deliberation, nothing. They will not even sit down in a round table to talk about it, how it's going to affect the masses, what is supposed to happen. If you take other countries, before they will do something, they will plan ahead, 10 years ahead. What will be the effect? If I should do this thing, how will the masses feel? I can't just wake up one morning, want to remove the first subsidy. Meanwhile, this, if anything should affect fuel price in this country, it has affected every other thing in this country. So it's not more funny. I was coming to work today now from only Suleja here to this Guarimpa where I'm working. I spent 1,500 naira. How much are they paying me now? How much are they paying me that I will be spending 1,500 naira to be coming to work? I will still go back 1,500. That's 3,000 naira. Calculate 3,000 naira in a month for 30 days. My salary is not up to 60,000 naira. It's not even up to 50,000 naira. How am I going to survive? Please, Mr. Guest, you that you got to be, you better, I don't know what you want to do because there's nothing that anybody can tell Nigerians again. They are almost tired though. I'm telling you, everybody is complaining on the road. I don't know. I don't just know what they want to do. If it is the strike they want to go on that Wednesday, they should go. Because this is very, very, I've never called before. I need to call and clear my mind. I'm really angry.
Sorry.
I'm really angry. I'm really sorry to say.
No,
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Samson, for joining us. Thank you for calling us. You see, sometimes I'm smiling when he says this thing because this is the case everywhere you go.
Yeah, like Nigerians are having it really. It's a really hard time.
Everywhere you
I,
go.
I remember when, and somehow I sound like a prophet sometimes in my videos because
Yeah.
most of what is happening now, I'd said it earlier on in my video. Like I think I mentioned this, so anyone that was following me on Instagram and on TikTok will know that I've said all these things, and
Okay.
it's not rocket science. I'm just one man, and then there are so many brilliant Nigerians are some of the. To go everywhere on the internet.
course.
Nigerians are one of are the smartest people
Of
on the planet.
course,
I
of
can
course,
beat my chest to say that.
course.
Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, Ijo, Ishekiri,
Everyone.
everywhere, Nigerians are the smartest people in the world. Some of the smartest people in the world. But what we have is that we are not utilizing our people.
Okay,
This
so
is-
just hold it a little bit. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, hello, good morning.
Hello. Good morning, Mata.
Yes, welcome. Your name, please, and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Nigeria State. I'm Isaac by name.
All right, welcome, Isaac. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear you.
Thank you. The problem of this country is that we lack the truth.
Sorry? Can you speak up, please? It's a bit difficult
Hello?
to... Yes, can hear you
I
now.
said, what your guest is saying, I think almost every Nigerian knows the problem we have.
Okay.
The analysis is very good. But the problem is we are having bad government. That is just it. We prefer darkness than light in this country called Nigeria. The bad leaders we have are the ones blamed for everything that is happening. We just pray that God, in His infinity mercy, will wipe away all these bad eggs that never want good for this country. That is just the truth. If you talk from now to tomorrow, nothing will change for these people ruling this country. We never want anything good for this country, and that is just the truth. My prayer, one day, God should take all these people away.
Okay.
And I knew we have.
Okay, so while we want you to air your views, we also want you to be very civil about it so that we do not offend the government or say things that we're not supposed to say on radio. We understand your frustration, trust me, because for Nigerians, well, in Nigeria, as a matter of fact, we pay transport to be here every day. We run our daily activities every day. So this one is like this hand touch everybody. Everybody, even the government. Oh, okay, let me not say the government. Even the people that you think are wealthy and are having it good, they are also feeling it, because this time around, the bigger your cars, the more expensive you get to fuel them. Imagine a Corolla being filled for that will be filled for like 10,000 before. You're filling at 30,000, and it doesn't take you up to a month. It takes you about 2 weeks, and then you're looking for how to refill again. Now, in the case of the person earning 60,000 naira, and you have a car going to work every day, that means you spend your entire salary on buying fuel. So it's something. But now, let's talk on the minimum wage, because we're all saying, let them increase the minimum wage at least. But for those of us in the private sector, right, it's not going to affect us so much. All right, it's not going to affect the private sector so much, because the government will do what the government will do. Do you think there are policies that can be put in place to ensure that both private or public sectors, they are all part of the economy of Nigeria? Because some revenues that are being generated from here goes to the government. Some of them go to the government. You pay for license and all of that. How is it that when there's a policy, there's an increase in minimum wage, it doesn't affect us directly?
So the minimum wage thing has its double-edged sword, in the sense that in everywhere around the world, any other countries, developed countries, minimum wage is enforced because there's a minimum you can pay anyone, and there are labor laws. So if you go below that standard of minimum wage and you're paying someone below that, the person takes you to the government like it's almost like slavery. So how do you want this person to survive, and how are you paying this person this? So you can be fined. But that is in accordance with, because everyone follows, there's a set of rules. The government is responsible for you as a citizen. You have your responsibility as a citizen, as a citizen to the government. It's a give and take situation. So the government tells you, don't steal, don't commit a crime, be productive, fuel the economy, do things that has in return, I'll provide you with security, infrastructure, good roads, hospitals, education. So it's a give and take between you and the government. When the government, on the other hand, isn't living up to its own part of the bargain, now the citizens feel disenfranchised. And you can't tell me, for example, now that I should pay someone, for example, in minimum wage is increased to 90,000 naira, and my total sales in my shop in a month is 30,000 naira because people are not buying, and you're telling me to pay some. It's not so you have two options. Should I pay this person 10,000 naira to keep coming to work, at least at all na winch, or I tell the person to go because you want labor laws too? Is the person that will be fighting you, the government? I beg, leave me and my oga. I beg, at least make I see something take job. So that's where it becomes difficult for minimum wage to be enforced. But like I mentioned, like I mentioned earlier, if I don't know how this was thought out. The CNG gas that a lot of people are moving to CNG, that's the cooking gas that gas that everyone is moving their cars to now. Now, in the rollout of this subsidy removal, if the government has thought it through to release, because Nigeria does not have trains. If we had trains, for example, that could have been a form of mass transit. We don't have proper mass transit, and that's a major problem for the economy of Nigeria. A country as big as over 200 million people do not have proper mass transit. If people had the ways in Abuja, like in Lagos, and they could move from Oshodi down to Ikeja, or in Abuja, you had mass trains from Maraba down to the city center, I'm telling you, a lot of people will be able to come to work comfortably.
It will solve a lot of problems.
But we don't have mass transit. In return, since we don't have mass transit, do we have mass buses that the people can hop on and know that the government is going to, these buses at 100,000, because the government is probably using gas to power them.
Of course.
And the government says that these buses are 100 naira. Any high you want to get on those buses, they will be running this route from this time to this time every day. Just hop on it with your 100 naira. Those are the subsidies that we're supposed to be looking at. Those are the things that would affect you and I. That way, the person in government is subsidized. The person in private sector is subsidized. Maybe at a pain that is not convenient for you, but is subsidized at the longer run. And those are the things the government should be looking at.
So yes, I think I agree with you on that. Policies that are widespread, that will affect you regardless of where you operate from and how you operate. Right, people? I have the online banker with me, Stanley Onoha, and together we've been having the conversation centered around the economic policies or the new economic policies of Nigeria. Let's see who we have here. Hi, good morning.
My dear sister Martha, I greet you.
Mr. Sean, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. How you work today?
Work is great. You didn't call today. It's not politics.
I'm tired, man. I'm tired. The hardship is biting harder. Honestly, it's really biting harder. At least like my younger brother reside in London.
Okay.
He said where he lives about 3 hours distance to where he works.
Okay.
But he joined the train in the morning, go to work, and join the train, come back. So he doesn't feel anything. I said, what about your car? He said it's only weekends that he uses his car for picnics, going to church and other things. So at least a place like that, even if you sell for 1,000, people will not even bother because they don't use much of their car always. Sometimes they make references with all this country, price of fuel is higher. But they don't consider the facilities those people enjoy. Government subsidize hospital for them. Government subsidize the transport system for them. And everything was subsidized. Then if you are buying fuel of 1,000, as you're not using your car, for instance, for the whole of the week, you won't feel it. The railway is there for you to move on. Mass transit bus is there for you to move on. It depends on the one you want. So when you put all these things in place, the society, the citizen will not complain. But here, we labor through our nose. And that's why everybody is complaining. Many of people reside in my area in Massacre that do work of 30,000 inside town here, are no longer coming to work. I asked them why. They said before end of the month, they spend about 40,000 naira on transportation. Feeding it in there. And expenses are waiting for you back home. And people are seeing that you're going to work. Everybody you're owing the street, they say you're working. Is it not better they resign and possibly look for something to do within the house? No, it's not really helping. Sometimes government should put some things on ground before going ahead to implement some policies. Today now, even like a friend I met in the bus today told me that the renew his vehicle, normally renewal of vehicle is about 12,000. He told me he renew his vehicle when about something thousand. And I asked them why. They said Tinubu has increased insurance. And the several times I've put challenge a VIO. I said we do pay insurance every year. And when our vehicle maybe got accidents, this will never intervene. So where is the essence of this insurance we are paying every year? He said the insurance has increased. Okay, tell me, renewal of vehicle from 12,000 to 7,000. Think about it. And you pay approve ownership. Every year you pay 1,000 naira. Bank interest rate has increased, in which the small, medium enterprises cannot go to bank again and borrow loan. So now you're hurting the people. And the reason why you have voted into the office is to listen to the yearning of your people and bring a policy that will favor your people, that your people will rejoice. When you gather this money, you leave it, another administration will come, possible embezzle the whole of this money. And you're leaving the citizenry to be suffering and lamenting. This is how government are being run. The singular mistake Buhari made that day of his handover, Tinubu made the day of his handover, has really jeopardized everything about this country. When you move around the street of Abuja, everywhere is scanty, no vehicle moving around the place again. People, everything is collapsing. Everything is collapsing. And if government did not do anything pertaining this policy they are bringing, the policy of Tinubu is hard on us. It's hard on us, and we're not getting extra money. Today, conductor was shouting. I said, okay, look, I am not getting extra money anywhere. Assuming I'm getting extra money anywhere, if you charge me 1,000, I won't feel pain. All of us are suffering it. So you won't. I know you guys are not making money because you buy fuel at the exorbitant price, but you won't put all the burden on our head alone because we're not getting extra money. The salary still remains 30,000 naira. So it's not really helping. They should find solution though. They should not be making comparison with countries that are doing well. If you want to use the opportunity to kill us for nothing. Have a nice celebration, my dear.
All right, thank you so much, Sonny the Prince. Good to have you here in the studio. Now it's a lot.
It's a lot.
You can tell.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But these are the real pains of. So when we talk about the pains of the people, it's they cannot be a disconnect. The government needs to both optics, both in whether you are faking it, in quotes, both optics. The people need to understand that the government and the people are together in this pain.
Of course.
And this is for anybody in government that is listening. You know, if they have any representative or anyone that is listening to this, you cannot have the people sound this way, and you are going to say you're buying jeeps and luxury vehicles for 40 billion.
Of course.
Now, the people feel like there's a disconnect. These people are not connecting with us. Now, those are your statutory allowances. That's what you're entitled to. So it's like you coming to your office now. You're entitled to have light. You're entitled to have, working systems. That's what you're entitled to by working in the studio. But if you are going to, for the sake of the people, not show it, so that at least you can connect with them, then don't show it.
Of course.
So the optics is important. The people need to understand that the government is standing with them. I know it's not easy. Like I've been privileged to like lead people and all in different organizations, and I understand that it's not easy when you're a leader.
Of course.
It's not easy for the government at the moment to think of how we're going to handle this, things to put in place, and how to handle this. It's almost like everything is coming at you at the moment.
Of course.
But the things that you are supposed to do, that the government, that the people need to look up to and see that you are doing them, in quote unquote, you need to do them. And those are the things that we're talking about, the palliatives, the measures that they are taking out. Let it be people-centered that can reach a mass of people, not the ones that they will eat 5,000 naira and forget. Use that eat suya and masa. Suya and masa, how much? How much?
Would you even? It's like you like suya and masa.
I'm a suya and masa person.
So, I mean, it's pretty. Even that, how much would you be? How many would you be able to get?
So that's the thing. So
widespread policies.
It's why we need to look at the broader scope of everything. Yeah. So and that's I wanted to talk about something, and I want everybody to realize this. Now, Nigeria has a debt profile. Nigeria has a debt profile, and there's no way the government will pay its debt. The government does not. The government is you, Martha, and me,
Of course.
Stanley. So
course.
the government has no other way of paying money. It's by generating money from you and I and economic activities that occur in the country. So if the country is not producing, the government cannot pay its taxes. And because there's not a lot that we're exporting in terms of this thing for them to generate revenue, all they need to do is increase taxes. And by the time they increase taxes, that is when they get money to be able to service their debt. And trust me, if Nigeria were to default on their debt, our problems will be higher. So the government must make sure at every time they're not defaulting on any loan repayment. And so they are meeting their obligations as and when due. So those are all the things that come in place as a government and when they try to, implement this. And Nigerians should understand that we have a debt profile that is rising and that it needs to be handled by the government.
So
and the only way that they need to do,
pressure
there's pressure on every
from
side.
both sides.
So, but quote unquote, everybody that is in power, they bargained, they campaigned
For that.
So there's no complaint from anyone. Now, who you sit down? Now you say you want to sit down for this chair. Oh yeah, you don't sit down. You need
What are
to. So
you doing?
that's why the people cannot. That's why the government can't complain that the people are coming at them, and the people are the ones that voted the government. So they can't complain that the government is. So it's a handshake across board.
Of course. Right, people. Thank you so much, Stanley, for joining us.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, Online Banker, on TikTok, Online Banker,
Of course.
on Facebook, Online Banker. I share some of these tidbits, just to educate Nigerians.
Yes,
on the whole.
keep yourselves updated. Right, people, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Yet again, we have a lot of stories that we should deal with today. But yes, I thought that it would be most important to help us understand these things so that our hearts can be at peace. I mean, it's easier, and this is what I've been all about. It's easier to let me know what I'm waiting on. If I don't know at all what I'm waiting on, then it becomes even more difficult. The waiting process becomes difficult. Now, this is it. You've explained certain things that I feel the government should have addressed. This is what we're doing, and this is the effect of these things we're doing. Be a little patient. You would see the result. I mean, when someone is telling you that, you'd have hope. There's that string of hope saying, oh, yes, this person is accountable, gives us updates, as they go. But whatever the case is, we found ourselves someone who would be able to give us these updates to keep our hearts at rest. You know what the next hour is about?